that one has to consider. But they're all maybe just different semantics of the same thing. Are we going beyond the letter of the law? Are we doing what's right versus what's right? Like, I think there's different ways of expressing it, and maybe there's slight differences between each option, but they're all basically the same thing. We're saying it's not just following the law, but it's doing the right thing. And there's so many instances where we face this situation, the option, the choice, the decision to make, and we have to make that decision. And I think that's part of this discussion today. Yeah. What is? Yeah. Okay. So what you're referring to is a law in Talmud, Dina de Machusa Dina. The law of the land has to be followed. If the law of the land says you don't drive above 120 kilometers an hour, don't be the Ober Chacham who drives 150 kilometers an hour. And generally speaking, you have to follow the law of the land, and that's what the Torah, not only the Torah encourages and tells you to do, and you need to do. But the only question is when that comes in conflict with Jewish law. There are instances, places that don't allow circumcision. What happens then? Where Jewish law says we have to circumcise our children, and pardon? So you're saying don't live there. But okay, let's take the scenario of Chabad Shluchim in Sweden. They are there to service their Jewish community and to be there for the Jewish community's needs. If Sweden doesn't allow shchita, so actually when they want kosher meat, they have to import from outside. I don't even know how they do it, because the question is, does Sweden allow importing kosher meat? Do they? But it wasn't slaughtered according to their specifications. And if they don't allow circumcision, does that mean every time a baby's born, they have to travel abroad to give birth? Or can they petition the government to be a little bit more compassionate and considerate to the rights of their Jewish and Muslim inhabitants? Pardon? Okay, that's a separate discussion, right? Anyways, the point here is that each of these cases are discussing situations where the question is of right versus the right thing. And that's the thing. Where do we focus on? What's the right? How do we deal with it? And what's right? LaGuardia had a decision to make. This woman shoplifted. She should be penalized, 10 days jail or $10. But he found a way to do the right thing while he's still punishing her because she needs to be. 1 second. He still found a charitable way to do it. I'm just going to ask everyone to keep the decorum for everyone's sake. And then each of the cases is the same thing. That's a question. Yeah. So you think everybody who's poor should be able to steal? Exactly. The law is the law. That's why, as a society, we can't only have laws, we also have to have charity. And that is what the Torah is saying to begin with. Don't just have a judicial system that is going to incarcerate people, and then in jail they're going to learn how to become better criminals. But rather have tzedek. Maybe it's another way of understanding this verse. The Torah is saying, have mishpat, justice, but also have tzedek, have righteousness. If to begin with we have charitable organizations that are going to provide for people's needs, then those who are poor, for whatever reason, the way God made this world is a system where there are poor people who are recipients and wealthy people who should be giving. And there's a beautiful story told in the Talmud about two individuals. One, we're going to give him a name, Yankele. I don't know, I have to give him a good name. Who was very poor. Yankele was very rich. Who's rich, who's poor? Anyways, Yankele was rich. Doesn't matter who's going to be rich, who's going to be poor in the story, because you're going to see in a second. And we had Daniel, who was very poor. Okay? Now, Yankele had a reputation. He was a stubborn miser. Okay? And anytime anybody came to Yankele for some charity, he chased them away. Get out of here. Yankele lived in a big, beautiful mansion. He had many servants. He had plenty of food, but he refused to be charitable and part ways with his cash. And he hoarded cash, thinking he's going to take it all to his grave one day. Anyways, one day this fellow Daniel's starving. He's famished. He doesn't know what to do. He has no option. He thinks he'll go to Yankel. At least Yankel, he's rich. Maybe he'll be willing to share a few pennies with him. He comes knocking at Yankel's door. One of the servants opens, and he hears Yankel, a beggar at the door. Chase him away. The beggar Daniel says, please, I see you have so much food there. Just give me one piece of bread. Please, I beg you. I won't bother you. I just need to eat something. Get out of here. Anyways, he chases him away, and a heavenly decree decided Yankel is unworthy of keeping that money. Why? God gives it to him and he's not sharing it. And you could see the fortunes turn. What happens now? Yankel, the rich guy, one bad business dealing, a factory burnt down, a cow died. This is hundreds of years ago. And his fortune turned, and before you know it, he's evicted from the home and he's a poor beggar himself in no time. Daniel, on the other hand, his fortune struck the luck. He did well, one business dealing, another business dealing, and before you know it, he is in Yankele's house in the mansion. Anyways, Yankel doesn't know what's become of him, and he goes one day to the sage, and he begs him, he says, please share with me, why did he lose all his fortune? What happened? And the sage says, you're asking me a very simple question. It's obvious. God gave you a blessing of finance, and you didn't share the wealth, you didn't share the blessing. So God says, I'll give it to somebody who will share it. He says, please tell me, dear sage, is there a way I could have a second chance? Sage says, listen, it's all in a pile. The world is like a Ferris wheel. Everything, it keeps turning. So if you go back to Daniel, who you sent away without giving him food, and he retaliates, and he doesn't give you food, God will do the same to him, take away his fortune. So now he walks away with some hope, feeling, he's encouraged. Maybe there's a chance he'll get his money back and he'll change his ways. What did they say? A leopard never changes its mind. Anyways, that's not the end of the story. Don't worry. So he comes back, and lo and behold, he's standing at the very same mansion at which he chased Daniel away from. And he knocks on the door, and a servant opens. Who's there? A beggar. But he looks inside and sees that magnificent dining room table on which he used to sit all alone, enjoying all his gastronomic delights. And who's at the table? All the poor people of the town. They're all gathered around the table and enjoying delicious food. And when Daniel sees him, he says, Yankele, come inside, come join us. And Yankele protests. He says, no, why would you want to feed me? I'm the person who chased you away. I was so rude and hostile to you. You wouldn't want to feed me. Daniel says, let bygones be bygones. What was. You come eat at my table with me. Come join my family and friends. And Yankel bursts into tears crying. Daniel says, why are you crying? Don't worry. I understand the tables have turned a bit, but don't worry. God controls the world. Come, my home is your home. And Yankel starts crying about how low he's fallen and everything. And then he tells Daniel what the sage told him. Sage told him he could regain his fortune if Daniel would refuse to feed him. But Daniel did no such thing. So Daniel says, my friend, you don't worry. My home is your home. You used to live here. We'll find you a nice room where you'll feel comfortable. The food, the clothing, the riches of this home are for you to enjoy too. And I don't remember the source of the story, but I heard it many years ago. And I feel like it's irrelevant in this context, that the idea is that God gives us to do good. Don't just do what's right, do what's good too. Don't just do what's right, do the right thing. So the idea here is we're having a discussion on the purpose of the law as opposed to the law, what it's supposed to serve. We said secular law is created, is consequential. It comes as a result from things that happen, whereas Torah law is dictated, is decided, it creates life. And that's the idea here. And I think the whole purpose of Torah law is to shape us that we should be compassionate. We should do what's right. Okay? So we'll look at a few examples in the Torah of what it means to do the right thing. But before we do that, I want to just see if our sound is working. I want to play you a little video of various mitzvahs obligating us in our ethical conduct. And the video should explain the role that they serve in shaping a righteous society. So do it this way.
If God created the universe in 6 days, it certainly did not take 40 days for God to hand Moses 2 stone tablets. So what was Moses doing up there all that time? He was internalizing a vast body of instruction to transmit to his people. So once the smoke and sounds of Sinai subsided, Moses began to teach, and the Jews were most surprised. They'd expected Moses to begin with a detailed series of highly spiritual rituals or meditations, matters that Moses had to go up to heaven to receive. Instead, Moses first launched into topics far closer to earth than to heaven. He rolled out a unique civil system with requirements unlike any other. Here are a handful of surprising examples. The finder of a lost item must proactively collect or secure the item, and then preserve it while actively seeking its rightful owner. Beyond banning defamation, the Torah even forbids gossip among friends. It requires an individual not only to rescue those being harmed, but to act preemptively. It makes it illegal to look the other way when a fellow traveler is hopelessly stuck along the roadside. It mandates respect for the elderly. It criminalizes the malicious delivery of bad advice. It illegalizes the verbal abuse of individuals whose disabilities prevent them from recognizing the abuse. But surely the Jews challenged Moses. God prefers spiritual worship instead of looking out for stranded traitors and fallen bracelets. Ah, replied Moses, I will soon instruct you in Judaism's rituals and festivals, but you must know that these civil laws are also spiritual. You see, God's goal is not for you to transcend the earth, but to change it and make it more heavenly. You will notice that the Torah's legislation is more than a guide to protecting rights and maintaining social order. No, these laws include mechanisms for molding a righteous civilization. From now on, each of you is legally obligated to do the right thing for those around you and to proactively extend yourself in the pursuit of good and righteous conduct. With that, Moses and the Jews launched into a spirited study of Jewish civil practice and its aspirations of a righteous society, a study that flourishes until today.
Okay. What we're going to do now is review those verses. Okay. So let's review the verses in case you didn't see it well on the video and see each verse or various verses that the Torah tells us. So, for example, we have here a verse in the Torah in Leviticus that says, do not stand by when someone's life is at risk, right? Or pick up any lost object you encounter and return it to its owner. We have, you should provide roadside assistance. It's actually this week's Parsha. And we know the Hasidic vart on that. What is the Hasidic vart? Do you all know it? I tell it to you every year. It's worthwhile repeating. It's a vart from the Baal Shem Tov. The Parsha, we're going to read that Kitzira Chamor Sanacha, when you see the donkey of your enemy, Roivitz Tachas Masoy, it's struggling with its load. The Chadalta Me'azevla, you don't want to help him. Why don't you want to help him? He's your enemy. You're going to help your enemy? That Meshugana who drives you crazy, the bane of your life, you're going to go and give him roadside assistance when his tire's flat, when he's got a puncture? No way. Says the Torah, you have a mitzvah, an obligation. Surely you must help him. Baal Shem Tov gives it another interpretation. He says, kitira chamor. Another meaning of the word chamor besides for donkey is chamor could also mean materialism. In modern Hebrew, you say chumriyut. Sanacha might consider it your enemy. Why do I need to eat? Eating is a distraction. Why do I need to work? I should sit and pray and study and do only spiritual things all day. So you don't want to work with your physical needs. You say, that is distracting me from my spiritual pursuits. Says the Torah, Azav Tazav Ima. No, you have to work the two together because healthy body, healthy soul. But your soul ain't going to be so healthy if you don't look after your body. That's in a nutshell. We spent more time on that in the past, so I'm not going to focus on it too long. Yeah. 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 Good point. Safety first. But when you see a fellow with a yarmulke on the side of the road, you know that hopefully that's not somebody you got to worry about. In fact, we once stopped to help somebody with a yarmulke, and of course, I asked him what shul he goes to. He says, "Shul, what's that?" I say, which synagogue? He says, "Oh no, I'm not Jewish. I just keep one of those in my car because I know that if you put that on your head, somebody will stop from your tribe to help you." Well, he wasn't a danger, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
She's a woman living on her own. If the beggar comes to the door, she is not obliged to
Okay. Very good point. I'm going to repeat it. Raz says she has a friend in Israel who's a widow, an elderly person, and the rabbi told her she does not have to open her door for beggars. Even though they're all Jewish and it's a Jewish community, because it's a danger to her life. Let me tell you, even locally here in Joburg, okay, if you say certainly in Israel, if the law is in Israel, then certainly it should apply to here. I know people who are being kind and nice and picking out a fruit to give to these people on the corner who are begging and have their children with them, and then they rob them of their stuff. It's very unfortunate that you have one bad apple that ruins it for the rest. It's very unfortunate. You know, this guy was telling us yesterday about $1 bills. He said he was staying at a hotel in New York, and he said somebody must have seen that money. And this is New York, New Year's Eve, okay, like 5 weeks ago. He said he was staying at a hotel. He says it felt like it was a dodgy area, but it was Midtown Manhattan. I said, look, I think New York has become a little bit dodgy these days. I don't know. I don't know the city that well anymore. I'm not there. Maybe since I left, it's become dodgy. No, just joking. So we were saying you have to be humble. Oh, the Dodgers moved to California. So either way. Wow. I believe most of these people who are begging are good people and we should support them. I'm just saying that unfortunately there are certain situations that are not like that. That's an incredible story. And when people, I'll repeat the story. Fegi related a story. She said that once she and Rav Moshe were driving and a fellow was begging for money and came to him and asked him. And Rav Moshe said, I'm sorry, I don't have money on me. And the man went around to the other side to Fegi's window and she got scared. Who knows what he's going to do to her? And the man said, I just want to tell you, your husband is a good man. Incredible. So anyways, back to my friend. He's in New York, his wife and 2 kids, and they're staying at a hotel in Manhattan just a few weeks ago. And he says when he checked in, somebody must have seen all his cash. He doesn't know for sure. He's surmising. But he says in the middle of the night, he hears banging on the door and they say, we have your champagne for the party and whatever. And his wife said, don't you answer them. Don't. They didn't. They like triple locked it, but they did whatever they could. And in the morning, when he told the security, they said they don't know, but it's probably a good thing they didn't open the door. Maybe somebody was trying to get their way into the room to, rob them or something. and they came with some claim. So you got to be careful everywhere. Anyways, what's the point here? These are all examples of laws that are largely that in the secular system. Do you bear responsibility? You'll remember the case, we looked at it a couple of years ago, the case of, oh gosh, I'm forgetting her name now, in New York in the late 60s, early 70s. What was her name? It's still, there was a I think she was a waitress who came home late at night, and just her name, Kitty Genovese. Oh, it's from your days, you remember it. What was that, 70s, 60s? 60s. Okay, so let's review the Kitty Genovese case very briefly. Kitty Genovese came home late at night. She was being robbed by a burglar outside. Okay, she was not only robbed, she was mistreated, and I don't know if she was raped or what, but it was a bad situation, and she was killed. She was killed. Later, the New York Times journalist was interviewing neighbors. And he asked them, I think it also took some time till the police came. Either way, he was asking the neighbors, did any of you see, or he or she, I don't know who the journalist was, but were there any eyewitnesses? And turns out some of the neighbors claimed that they saw the story unfolding. They saw Kitty Genovese being attacked and mugged and everything that happened to her. And the question was, why didn't anybody do anything? Exactly. So what did that case reveal? And many people have this attitude, not my business. And the Torah says, yes, it is your business. You don't stand by when someone's life is at risk. No such thing, not your business. We live in a shared society. Everybody has this duty to rescue. We all have a duty to do what we can to be, you see something, say something, do something. Absolutely. Ahmed Al-Ahmed was his name, right? Ahmed Al-Ahmed. See, yes, that's to be malava, our guest, to escort our guest. And, as a kid, I enjoyed walking. I've gotten lazy. But as a kid, I used to walk my guests home after shul. I enjoyed it. It was a way to walk off the food. And especially Friday night when you eat your meal very late, it's a good thing to walk the guest. I enjoy it these days. Last week, I walked the guest back to his hotel Friday night. It was geschmack. Some weeks I do, some weeks I don't, because we usually have visitors from all over the world. It's really slowed a lot since COVID, but we've been getting, in the last few months, we've been getting guests back again. I think it's taken a couple of years since COVID, people to start coming back to South Africa. And in the past couple of weeks, I've been having quite a few visitors from overseas. The shul's been busier and fuller than ever. And I've been escorting them back to hotels. It's geschmack. And you have to understand there's a physical benefit to doing that walk. So the Torah has your personal health in mind. The Torah says it's a double benefit. You walk and escort your guest, and you too will benefit from it as well. So you think of each of these cases where the Torah says to provide the roadside assistance. The Torah says don't spread gossip and speak negative about others. All these laws, they are there. Now, you might say in society there are laws, libel laws, right? The Torah says to begin with, don't talk slander. Who are you to interfere with what I want to say? Judaism says Torah is here about generating life, okay? In the Jewish system, laws are, and these types of laws especially, they're prominent. And tomorrow, please God, I want to discuss them in more detail, why they're so important in Jewish law, and why we take these so seriously. And why straight after the top 10, we jump not into the laws between man and God about kosher and Shabbos and shatnez and kashrut and sacrifices, but into what? The laws of interpersonal relationships, the way we treat each other. All right, so these are the types of things we're going to discuss. Secular law doesn't include the obligations of this nature because it's premised on protecting individual rights. So I would say, therefore, it doesn't mandate people to actively assist each other. You want to do it, you're a good Samaritan, right? And that's considered a nice thing to do. But in Jewish law, it's not a nice thing. You're not compassionate. You're not good. In society, a benevolent person, a philanthropist, is such a kind, caring, wonderful person that gives charity. But what's the Hebrew word for charity? Tzedakah. And tzedakah doesn't really mean charity. That's a loose translation. What's tzedek? Justice. It's the right thing to do. And that's what today's share is about, doing the right thing. And that's the point. These laws are integral parts of the Jewish legal system. Jewish law defines them in precise detail and instructs us how to practice them, because in Jewish law, this is not optional. You're not a good Samaritan. It's not voluntary. It is an obligation. It's not a right. It's an obligation. Yeah. You went where to get fruits? Oakland's farm supply. Yeah. 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 Amazing. That is incredible. What did they do at Pick and Pay? They probably can't care. It's too corporate. But I imagine in Oakland's, it's very personal. They were. Wow. And what did they say? They were impressed, eh? Just to repeat for those who haven't heard, we're repeating here that people who have been to the shops and had things that they didn't pay for, and they nevertheless made sure that they went back to pay for them. And that was something that was that the people were impressed with and said, it's not common. It's a Kiddush Hashem. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to wrap up today's discussion. And the point here is, it's not just about doing what's right. It's about doing what is good. The Torah says, Vasisa, Hayashar, to do what's right, Vahatov, and what's good. And the Torah's, and perhaps you can even see it as 2 points here. There is the right thing, but there's also what's doing the good thing. Just to conclude, who sent me this? Somebody sent us a joke. Let's see if it's kosher enough to read to you. Okay, so here it goes. Dave and Cindy Epstein were on a trip to Israel, and they decided to rent a car so they could drive around and see the sights of the Holy Land. As Dave pulled into a crowded Tel Aviv parking lot, he asked the police officer standing there, "Excuse me, Shoter, Adoni Shoter, is it all right to park here?" Cop says, "No, can't you see the no parking sign?" Says, "What about the other cars in here?" Cop shrugs, "They didn't ask." Okay, I thought it was going to be one of those old jokes. This is a good one. Yeah.
We were driving, my husband was driving, so we were far into the road. So we were driving in a bus lane.
Yeah.
So the cop stopped us and see we were foreigners, and he said, "I understand the rules, but you're not allowed in this lane."
Yeah.
So he said, "So what must we do?" He said, "Carry on in this lane and then turn." So carry on in the wrong lane.
Okay. Let me tell you what happened to me in New York. Yeah, very similar story. You're lucky in Israel you got away with it. Because in New York, one traffic cop told me go in that lane. That didn't seem correct. And the next cop gave me a ticket. And I said, but the other cop told me, no, nobody could tell you to do the wrong thing. Sorry. So I guess you're lucky. All right, ladies and gents, Zaykas and see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to talk specifically, we're going to go into these laws and see the specific details and go more into the spirit of